Welcome to Love Ultras. I'm John Kynaston and this is episode 18. For this episode I wanted to give the results of my MRI scan. Those who've been following my progress over the last few months will know that I've not been doing much running because I've had a tendon injury on my ankle which has stopped me running basically, and I've had some help with it from a physio friend, Matt Williamson, and also I've been to the doctor and got an appointment and had an x-ray and an MRI scan. And the MRI scan was 4 weeks ago, and this morning, Monday the 4th of December, I went back to see the results of the scan. And I must admit I went a little bit apprehensive. I was hoping for good news obviously, and I was hoping that they would find something or be able to tell me what was wrong and be able to move forward from that. But it was good news, and basically there's no real damage. And I think they feel it's basically just something which is overuse of the amount of running I do, and also not wearing the orthotics that have been really good over the last 10 years. But when I went in, I asked the consultant whether she wouldn't mind if I just recorded the conversation, just so I could remember it as well. But so I'm just going to play just a little bit of that, where the consultant just explains the result of the X-ray and what she feels. And I thought that may be better than me trying to explain it. So this is just a few minutes of the consultant explaining the results of the X-ray and the MRI scan that I had recently.
So the MRI is not really shown us very much, which is a good thing. There's nothing that's showing any permanent damage. The ligaments, with the MRI, what they're looking at is the initial X-ray that we had, and then comparing the MRI results to look at the soft tissues that sort of surround bones. So what they've said is that the tendons on either side of your ankles, what we're looking at was your tibialis posterior tendon, and then your peroneal tendons, so on the inside and on the outside here, to make sure that there's not any sort of degenerative changes, any tears, any inflammation. They said that everything looks completely normal around those tendons, so that's good. They've also then looked at the ligaments, so we've got a few different ligament complexes around the inside of the ankle here and on the outside, so it asked them to investigate both because you were having symptoms inside and outside your ankles at different times. Again, they've not said that there's any problems with those, said completely intact, no inflammation, no tears. There's no sign of swelling within the bones around those areas either, which again is a good thing. It shows us that there's not any sort of degenerative long-term changes going on there. So everything's looking very positive. Really the only thing that they've said is that there's a bit of degenerative change, so maybe a sort of early osteoarthritis happening in one of the joints here that I can show you if you pop your shoe off. I don't actually think that you were previously getting any symptoms here, so I'm not overly concerned about it, but just to show you where it is this just joint here called your calcaneocuboid joint. So it's where basically your heel bone attaches onto this bone at the side here. Is that an area that you get much in the way of pain, sort of deep into there?
Not really. Well, when you pressed it I could just feel it, but it's
kind of pushing it. I mean, there's not any loss of movement when I check this, and not much pain at all when I move it. No. I think it's what we call an incidental finding, when it doesn't show any clinical symptoms, when you're not having problems there. We can find things on x-rays and MRIs that just don't mean anything. If you were to x-ray 100 people in the population, you could identify something's wrong essentially with every single one of them, but it doesn't mean that clinically that's actually affecting them in any way whatsoever. So this is what we call an incidental finding. Clinically everything feels fine when I'm moving it and you're not having any symptoms from it. So essentially I think what this has been is almost like a repetitive strain type injury, which fits in with the pattern of your ultramarathon running. The other thing that we spoke about was the insoles. Have you had your appointment yet?
No, next Monday.
Oh great, okay, so it is in the diary.
Yeah, that came through at the REH, so that's next Monday morning. Perfect,
because again, although insoles are not necessarily something that you do need to use every day for the rest of your life, it has obviously been something that has worked for you, and I think that having those in place is going to help to take some of the stress off of the soft tissues. and hopefully just again take it that step further.
Yeah.
Are you still seeing your physio?
I haven't seen him for a while now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you if you feel that it's worthwhile going back for a few sessions, maybe even once you get the insoles.
Yeah.
And it's more just for that reassurance for stepping up the amount of activity that you're doing, because your goal is obviously going to be quite different from some other people that we're seeing. Is to get to this level, whereas some people just be looking to get to very light activities. I do think it's very beneficial to have a physiotherapist working with you.
Right.
Particularly when you start getting to that stage of trying to kind of stop the breaks between the running and running kind of full term rather than breaking and walking.
Yeah.
So that they can actually work with you to condition the tissues, because there's nothing from your scans or clinically to say that we can't get your tissues back to the level that they were. There's no permanent damage showing at all.
Yeah.
So I would be hopeful that we'll get to that stage, but it'd be good for you to have someone to work with, just because your activity levels are it's going to be so intense potentially if you're looking to get back to the ultras.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
No problem at all. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
And I'll put in that we'll discharge you from the clinic today. But if anything changes or you want to come back and see me again, then I'm more than happy to see you.
So, as you can hear from that, it's good news, and basically I was quite relieved to know that I'm not going to do any more damage. I think the big challenge now is to just build up slowly. Next Monday I have an appointment to get some new orthotics made, and basically the hospital here in Paisley have changed the suppliers who they do. That's why they couldn't do the repeat prescription which I'd had each year. Buchanan's Orthotics did it before. So I was hoping I might be able to just turn up and they could just get my notes out and give me another send off for another pair, but they probably have to do an assessment and make the mould and get a new pair. So realistically it's not going to be this side of Christmas, so it'll probably be into January, which is a little bit disappointing. I was hoping to try and get the insoles before. Might do, but we'll see next week. But I've decided that's what it is, and I've just got to live with that, and I can work with that. So my plan is to use the rest of December just to build up slowly. And the consultant was saying that because there's a little bit of pain there, especially when I run downhill, and I'm not going to push that. I'm not going to be stupid or brave and try and push through the pain. I'm going to use the pain as a sign of what it is really, that there's something not quite right. And so I'm going to ease off. So my plan is to run, and if it starts getting sore, I'm just going to walk for a bit and just ease it off, and then not do too much, and probably limit myself to 3-4 miles initially, and then as the month goes on maybe try nearer 5-6 miles and see how that feels. But I don't really want to get back into full training, as it were, until I've got the orthotics and I've got a bit more confidence that will just make sure I don't repeat this mistake or repeat the injury that I've had. So that's the good news, and the plan is to sort of build up slowly and just to keep running as much as possible and get back, hopefully, I say beginning of January, mid-January, get the orthotics, and then I can really feel as though I'm stepping up to the next phase of my training. A few days ago I decided that I would do the markathon. I've never done the well, I have tried it once before. I must admit I'm always someone with my training that my rest days are important. The most I run is 5 days a week, and I've felt that's been important for my longevity, to not get injured and to make sure that I do have some rest days and to have some easier weeks. But I did do it, I can't remember which year it was a few years ago, and I tried to run, and I was basically running, because I normally run at least 5-6 miles, so 3 miles I didn't do many, just 3 miles. But after about 10-12 days I just felt a few niggles, and I thought I'm not prepared just to push through this, and so I stopped it, and I've not really tried it again. But this year Katrina's doing it again, and a few other friends are doing it, and lots of people that we know, and obviously Marco and Debs are really good friends. So I thought, well, maybe I could do my own markathon. So I don't know whether it's probably not official one in the sense I'm not going to run it all, but I decided that I would try and walk, jog, run sort of at least 3 miles a day, and maybe that would just help me to get going. And now I've had this news from the consultant, I feel a bit more confident that I can run more than I can walk. So that will be good. So anyway, I suddenly decided Friday morning, 1st of December, yeah, you know what, I could walk, even if I had walked all the time. So on Friday I was in work and I had to go to visit a school, so I walked there and back, and I had sort of a few minutes in the school sorting a couple of things out and then head back again. And I started running a bit, and then I started running 50 breaths and 100 breaths or paces, and then built it up a little bit, and it felt okay. So Saturday I went out, and it was Saturday, I was after breakfast I went for a longer run. Did about 4.5 miles, and I probably sort of walked some of it, but I ran a fair bit, and it was quite nice. Just I put my running gear on, well, my running tights at least, and my running shoes, and felt as though I felt a bit more of a runner than a walker. But I probably ran for maybe a mile at most, and then walked for a bit, and then another half mile, and walked a bit, and kept it going. And then yesterday I did the same, but probably ran more, and it was quite encouraging that when I got back I'd run about 3.5 miles, and the average pace was just under 10-minute miling. So I thought, well, that was quite good, because that's more of a run than a walk really. And then today, just before I left work, I went out and I did another just under 4 miles, just a 3.98 I think, and again it was round about 10-minute mile pace, so that's quite good. I'm not gonna run every day. Like tomorrow I think I'll probably sort of walk it more, and I'll just do just over 3 miles or so, just to keep it going. But my plan is during the month to see how I feel, and if I want to walk a little bit I will. If I can feel it's starting to hurt a little bit, then I'll definitely walk. I'm not gonna put too much pressure on it. It's particularly the downhill. If I do a long downhill, then I can feel it. So I'm either going to choose routes where there's not long downhills, or if there is, I'll try and just take it easy and maybe walk those little bits, because I've been pretty patient, I feel, over the last few months to try and make sure that I don't come back too quickly. So now I'm at the point where I can run again. I just want to make sure I build up. If I try and jump back to running 5 times a week, 40 miles a week, with a long run of a 18-20 mile at the weekend, then it's likely it'll break down. So I'd rather just take a bit more time and build up. And the Markathon challenge is a great one really, because it's 3 miles a day. I say I'm doing my own version in the sense of I'm going to walk some of it as well. I'm not going to run the whole thing, because I want to give myself that option if it is sore. I love to run with people, but I'm going to be careful over the next week or two, because I know if I went for a run, for example with Katrina, I would end up macho, wanting to run the whole 4 or 5 miles that we did, whereas I want the option at the moment to feel as though I can walk without feeling bad about it, or without slowing her down. So I think that's the plan, just to sort of be sensible and try and run as much as I can. But if it is sore at all, then just ease off a little bit and try and build it up. So that's the plan. I was thinking as well, for the next Love Ultras, I'm going to just share some thoughts that I've learned about dealing with injury, and these will be my thoughts, how I've dealt with it. Everyone's different, but I was thinking about it over the last few days. It'd be quite good just to do another one on something to do with my how I've handled this last few months, because it's not been easy not being able to run when it's such a big part of your week, of your month, of what you do. So I thought that would be the next one. But thanks for support. It's been really encouraging, just the people on Facebook and the friends who've asked how things are going. I think anyone who's a runner knows what it's like to be not running, and we're all sympathise with each other. And I know other good friends at the moment are injured and not able to do as much as they can. And it's certainly given me a little bit more empathy for those who are injured and not able to run, because it's tough, isn't it, not being able to get out there in the way that you want to. But for my personal journey, I feel as though I'm at the end of the tunnel now, and I can see the light is getting bigger and bigger. And once I get these orthotics, I'll feel as though I'm ready to really to go and to put into place a proper training plan, building up to the Northern Traverse. And I think that will be really helpful to be able to be at that stage and to be able to do that. So thanks for your support, thanks for your help and encouragement. And as I say, I feel as though the end's in sight, and I'm going to be able to get back pretty soon to my proper training and build up to the races and have a good 2018. And I'm really hoping that I'll just be able to look back on this year and just think, well, that was a time when I wasn't able to run, and it was just a bit of a blip in my my running career of ultras. I've still got my long-term goal of trying to run 100 ultras by the time I'm 70. I'm 58 now, and 58 and a half, and I've run 41, so I've got 59 to do in the next 11 years or so. So hopefully that's doable, as long as I can stay injury free and healthy, and most of all alive. Mm-hmm.